Hello everybody, love and light to you. I got a few bits and pieces here that I received in the early hours of this morning. 4:26 in fact. I'm not sure if this time is relevant, but you know, always bear in mind the time because it could be important, or at least something that you could look back on at a later time. Okay, so it's 4:26 this morning. All right. I'm feeling a lot of conditions with this. I believe it's from a female. Okay, first of all, an older female, but I'm feeling a lot of sensations with this, and I wasn't particularly happy about that because, well, I'll explain. I felt like I was sick, and it felt like I was lighter than air. I felt like I wasn't in my own body. I felt like I was looking outside of myself, rather like being drunk, but more so. So this lady may or may not have had something to do with addiction, or it could be more to do with the person that it's meant for. Okay, this person had some form of addiction. All right, but there's definitely an addiction there to some sort of substance that made you feel very lightheaded, spaced out. I don't know. I've never took drugs and stuff like that, so I don't need to, because evidently I get it secondhand. But there was some kind of addiction surrounding this lady, that made her feel very spaced out, very sick, very out of it. She would sleep. When she's not asleep, she'll be awake, really excitable. Then she'll be really sort of lethargic and not being too fussed about moving or anything, to the point where, unfortunately, I don't want to say this, but to the point of this addiction, that this lady would have soiled herself and urinated herself and sick over herself quite often when it was at this bad sort of stage. Okay, so addiction to some sort of drug, in general. All right, I didn't like the feeling that it gave me. Anyway, this person had a severe lack of self-worth and a lack of self-confidence. Okay, I feel that this was to do with their own childhood, some kind of traumatic experience that led her on this path of destruction. All right. There's 2015. That was one sort of figure that flashed upon my eyes. It was 2015, and it was not the beginning. I would say it looked like the later side of October to the beginning of November. It was cold. It wasn't that cold. There was leaves still on the floor everywhere, and it was that sort of darky grey period in the season. So I would say the later part of October to the early part of November was important, and the year 2015. Okay. Hey, now there's another name. There's a name that came through, and I couldn't get it. It was so fast, and it had a female feel to the name, and all I seen was B, and it looked like E. I don't think it was A. It would be E something. It wasn't a particularly long word, but it was B, E, and then it was gone. So a female name beginning with B is linked to this person. All right. Yeah. Now, I believe that this person who I'm talking about here, she had her own children. I believe that there was two. I'm not even sure if the BE female was a daughter. I think it was. It feels like a daughter. But one maybe that was not in the picture that often. Okay, that's the general feeling that I had. No, I'm trying to do what I shouldn't do, and that's try to piece things together, because I just got loads of information. And remember, I was personally under the influence of this first conditions of being affected by some form of substance. Okay, so my mind clarity at that precise moment in time wasn't the sharpest, because I really was feeling the effects, and I did not like it very much. So let's just analyze this a little bit, put it in order. A female energy come through. She would have been, I would say, 60s, early 60s. Okay, there's a heavy drug influence, some sort of substance abuse, a strong lack of self-worth, October to early part of November was a significant time in 2015. There was a daughter beginning with a B, B-E something, so I don't know, like Betty, Bet, I don't know any other female names other than that, but it's definitely a female quality. She would have been a daughter, and there's another daughter. This other daughter is the one that seems to have like a halo around her, but this halo is shining. I can see the halo form. And a lot of these spirit folk, they tell you things in symbols, right? So there's a symbolic reason for this halo, because half the halo was glowing and the other half was dark and shrouded in shadow. So this would say that when she was good, she was fantastic, but something happened that made a lot of dark times come in and sort of rub out the goodness. So with this, I would take that, I feel that this was another daughter. This daughter would have looked after mum, would have looked after mum all the time, but when mum passed, I think that that's where this addiction and the lack of self-worth comes into play. Like I said, it was images and events, and they were rapid, but they came in at sort of odd moments, so it's hard to piece things together as in an order. So that's what I feel. I feel that there was two daughters minimum, could even be a third child, but one looked after sort of mum. I'm gonna go with mum, all right. One looked after mum, but the other one sort of stayed away, possibly looked after her own family. There's a little bit of a strange sort of area with that. But one daughter looked after and dedicated her life to sort of helping mum. Mum passed, and I think that daughter took it really hard, and I think that's where there's an alcohol and possible drug influence come into play. The drugs could possibly be treatment, okay? It could be. You know, I'm not going to say that this daughter was into drugs at all. I'm not going to say that, but I'm just saying that that was how I felt, like I was under the influence of more than alcohol. It seemed more substance, okay? But there's definitely alcohol involved. Now, I believe that the daughter took this very hard when mum passed, and I think a whole lot of things and problems snowballed out of her losing her mum. Yeah, there's definitely a BE name, female. I'm not sure about that. Right, the daughter that was doing the looking after, I got a really strong feeling that although her world came sort of crumbling down, it took a great deal of effort and it took a great deal of strength to crawl back out of this devastating time. And I think she had to. I do believe that this lady, the daughter, possibly would have been a mother herself, okay, by now. And I think that quite possibly she's had to deal with bringing up children largely on her own as well, which never added, well, of course it did add to her own lack of self-worth, and there's a depression issue and anxiety issue with this. So she done really well to bring up children, although she probably wouldn't admit it, but she has done really well to be able to bring up children seemingly without any help or little help from anybody else. Okay, that was really it, really. 426, a female, an older female woman. I think this female, this mother-like figure, I believe that she had something wrong with her mobility, her walking, because I feel that I want to be in a wheelchair, but I'm not in a wheelchair, and this is confusing me because I am in a wheelchair, okay? But it's like it's got to be a mobility sort of scooter, or like an electric wheelchair maybe, that she was in more than not. And I think her mobility was really bad, and yeah, that was just an added thing that just came in. So a problem with her mobility. 426, there's addiction or some kind of medicated issue that swayed their mind and made her feel a little bit different or out of sorts. There's a strong sense of self-worth. I think that was the daughter. Late October, early November in 2015. Some problems with mobility when, say, mum was in the physical, and I think she probably would have used either an electric wheelchair or possibly a mobility scooter here and there. Not all the time, I don't think, but when she went out, I would think more. And yeah, and like the one daughter is less hands-on than the other one. This daughter that was doing all the work, I do believe that she was praised in a way, and I think she may well have been told that, you know, I wouldn't be anything if it wasn't for you. You know, I appreciate your time, I appreciate you looking after me. She probably would have said this then or near the time. I definitely think that was the basic message. It was basically saying, out of this whole slightly messed up and confusing encounter, this was me, I wasn't well, my daughter stepped in and did all the hard work and looked after me, and she's appreciating and she's acknowledging your time and effort. And she's also acknowledging that quite possibly it did take a toll on you emotionally, and that emotional downtime of yours probably ended up you maybe hitting the bottle a little bit and being driven to drink or something like that for you. But I think she's aware that more of your efforts to climb back out and to get back on top of things. So I think that's quite important for you to remember. She appreciates and she acknowledges your work that you did for her when she was around, and now it's kind of like her looking on you. It's sort of saying, it's my turn now. Look what you've done. Look how far you've come. Alright? So just bear that in mind, that whoever this is for, which I'm starting to build up a picture now, and I think I might know, Mum is very proud of the way that you looked after her and the way that you've sort of made things better for yourself and you've improved things within yourself. You're starting to laugh a bit more. You're starting to have more fun with life a bit more. Okay, so she acknowledges that, and she's very proud of you. I think she's proud of you both. Obviously, she's Mum, but your sister, I'm going to go with a limb. Your sister, all right? I'm not too sure about this, but if you have a sister that wasn't quite as hands-on as you, she acknowledges that, and she knows that you were the good one, all right? So she has full respect for you, and there's a lot of love and a lot of pride here, all right? So there you go. That was all I had, but it was a very confusing sort of encounter, but I thought I would share it and let you know, all right? Anyway, love and light to you. You take care. If I get any more of anything, I certainly will let you know. All right, take care.